Protest by Islamic movements in Nigeria turned bloody in Abuja on Monday. Television reporter dies from gunshot wounds in Abuja during shite clash with police. On the international scene, U.S. President Donald Trump says his country is bracing for absolute worst with Iran. And in sport, President of the Nigeria Table Tennis Federation Ishaku Tikon elected into the board of the Commonwealth Table Tennis Federation.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. At least 6 members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria, also known as Shiites, were reported killed in a bloody clash involving the Muslim sect and the police in Abuja on Monday. Vehicles belonging to the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, were said to have been set on fire. The protest was to continue their demand for the release of their leader, Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, from government detention. A top police officer with the Federal Capital Territory Police Command was also said to have been killed. The deceased was the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operations, DCP Umar Usman. Also, sadly, a Channels television reporter, Precious Owolabi, was shot during the clash on Monday. He died later in the evening. The management and staff of the television station said they were saddened by the untimely death of the promising journalist who was carrying out his National Youth Service Corps with the station. He was 23 years old. The Nigerian Union of Journalists FCT Council has expressed deep sadness over the death of the promising journalist. NUJ FCT Chapter Chairman Emmanuel Ogbeche said in a statement, President Muhammadu Buhari's administration should take responsibility for Wolabi's death. Members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria have denied killing the Deputy Commissioner of Police and burning the outpost of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. President Muhammadu Buhari's ministerial list has been presented to the Senate. Several former governors and senators feature prominently on the list. Also on the list is human rights lawyer Festus Keyamo of Delta State. Other notable personalities are Godswill Akpabio, Babatunde Fashola, Senator Gbemisola Saraki, and Rauf Aregbesola. The Senate President Ahmed Lawan read the list that also includes Senate Rotimi Amechi from Rivers State, Chris Ngige from Anambra State, Olorunbe Mamura from Lagos State, Sunday Dare, Senator Tayo Alasho Adura from Ondo State, Hadi Serika, Uche Oga, Emeka Nwajuba, Sadia Farouk, Musa Bello, Babatunde Fashola, Godswill Akpabio, Sharon Ikeazo, Wonaya Ono, Akpa Udo, Adebayo, Semipre Silva, Adamu, Lai Mohammed, Shewiye from Borno State, Issa Pantami, Gbemi Saraki, Ramatu Tijani George, Akume, and Clement Abam. Ministerial screening will commence on Wednesday. A galling story now of a 17-year-old Nigerian secondary school pupil, Chinonso Obiaju, who was gunned down in Johannesburg, South Africa on Saturday in what is believed to be a xenophobic attack. President of the Nigerian Union in South Africa, Adetola Olubanjo, told News Agency of Nigeria the deceased guardian said he was killed on his way back from a shop. Chinonso was burned in South Africa. Olubanjo said the Nigerian Association is calling for justice to be served in this case. He said there is no justifiable reason to gun down a young schoolboy. He said the deceased would be buried in South Africa. Many Nigerians have lost their lives to xenophobic attacks in South Africa. And last month, the Deputy Director General of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria, Bianuju Undubisi Chukwu, was found dead in her hotel room in Johannesburg after attending the African Insurance Organization conference there. In other stories, Bauchi State High Court has issued an order of injunction on Monday allowing the present Speaker Abubakar Suleiman and his deputy Dalame Kawule to continue leading the House of Assembly until the court decides the case in early October. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and other 11 members of the Assembly who participated in the House election have filed a motion and substantive application against several parties, including the National Assembly, Speaker and Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, committee members, clerk of the National Assembly, and that of the House of Representatives. There had been crisis in the state since parallel elections were held and two different speakers emerged in Abuja House of Assembly. The elections were held separately and 11 members loyal to Governor Bala Abdulkadir Mohammed elected Abubakar Suleiman Ningi as Speaker. 20 members loyal to the former Governor Mohammed Abdullahi Abubakar also elected Kawuwa Shehu Damina as Speaker at a separate inauguration.
Coming up, African stories. Kenyan Finance Minister Treasury officials arrested for corruption and fraud. And later, international news. Trump says America is prepared for absolute worst from Iran.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. In African stories, Kenyan police say Finance Minister Harry Rotich and other Treasury officials have been arrested on Monday on corruption and fraud charges over a multi-million-dollar project to build 2 mega dams. Rotich and 27 other top officials were arrested on charges of fraud, abuse of office and financial misconduct in the latest scandal to rock Kenya. Police Chief George Kinoti told French news agency the Finance Minister, his principal secretary and the chief executive of Kenya's Environmental Authority are in custody and waiting to be taken to court. Haji said the conception, procurement and payment processes for the dam project, part of a bid to improve water supply in a drought-prone country, was riddled with irregularities. The police chief said the project was to cost a total of $450 million, but the Treasury had increased this amount by more than $150 million without regard to performance or works. He also said almost $200 million had already been paid out, with later construction to show for it. Rotich had previously denied any wrongdoing in the scandal. Democratic Republic of Congo's Health Minister Oli Ilunga has resigned from his post in protest against the presidency's decision last week to take control of the response to the Ebola outbreak in the east of the country. Ilunga's resignation letter decried what he described as interference in the management of the response to the outbreak, the second deadliest in history. He also criticized outside pressure to roll out a second experimental Ebola vaccine against his wishes. At least 1,700 persons have been killed by Ebola virus in DR Congo since last August. Last week, the World Health Organization declared the outbreak an international health emergency. And Germany says it is still haunted by the terror its citizens foisted on Namibians at the beginning of the 20th century. Visiting President of the German Bundesrat, Daniel Gunther, says the consequences of these past crimes are still felt today. He says this historical guilt is recognized without any ifs and buts. Gunther apologized to the people of Namibia and said both governments are engaged in constructive dialogue to address Namibia's colonial past. He said the two countries are connected through historical events and that there are commonalities in the experiences of the two nations with decentralized regional politics with a federal system. And in a drive to end starvation, millions of South Africans distributed food to early childhood development centers as a way to commemorate Nelson Mandela International Day late last week. In South Africa, close to 6 million children reportedly live below the poverty line and often go hungry. Rise Against Hunger, an international hunger relief organization aiming to end starvation by 2030, gathered volunteers to honor Mandela Day by packing and distributing food to child care centers. Reporter Julie Skewer was there.
Packing for a purpose, every year South African organizations and volunteers come together to honor Nelson Mandela's legacy. In South Africa, close to 6 million children live below the poverty line and often go hungry.
It's very important. I mean, how many people out there sleep without food, without eating? So this is quite important to actually think of those that are less fortunate than ourselves and ensure that at least everyone gets something to eat before they go to bed.
These people have come together to do their 67 minutes for Mandela Day. Each person will pack enough to feed a child for an entire year.
Pack that we're packing is not much, but it can feed a family of 6 or about 10 kids. That's what the message is all about. You don't need much to give away. Anyone can give to other people that don't have it. You don't need much. You don't have to be rich or anything, but you can give.
For the last 4 years, 4 to 6 years, we've gone from packing 3 million meals to 6 million meals this year alone. The meals consist of a vitamin sachet, which contains your 23 vitamins and minerals for malnutrition, as well as dry vegetables, soya, and rice.
The food goes to children's centres around the country. One of the beneficiaries in Johannesburg is Kids Haven, caring for 46 children.
Rise Against Hunger, it really helps me a lot since I'm only depending on the school fees of the kids. So when they come to my center, they really rescued me because I managed to save some of the money that I was supposed to buy the rice and the soya for the children. Then I used the money to improve my center, to buy the resources for my center, even to be able to pay my teachers as well.
Proper nutrition is vital to mental and physical development, especially in children under 5. These meals do more than just fill up tummies. They also help prevent learning difficulties caused by malnutrition.
When we return, international news. Trump says America is prepared for absolute worst from Iran. And later, sport. President of the Nigeria Table Tennis Federation elected into the board of the Commonwealth Table Tennis Federation.
You are watching ANN.
Dear Mommy, you went out that night with the baby in your tummy, but you did not come back. The baby is very fine and she eats and sleeps a lot. Everyone says that you are in a better place, but I miss you so much. I keep asking them, where is the better place? But nobody answers me. Auntie Kemi just hugs me and says, go and play. Mommy, I miss you. Please, when are you coming home?
I still do miss you, Mom. And in honor of your memory, I'm a doctor today working with the MTN Foundation to save mothers and children every day.
Ending mother and child mortality in Nigeria is dear to us. We will keep strengthening this most important bond just for you.
We are on the road every day, canvassing throughout Africa for news you really need. We follow this story everywhere, from every corner of Nigeria to the wide African expanse. We bring you what's making headlines. We connect you with news you can use. ANN, African News Network, in a truly African spirit.
Welcome back. This is ANN News in international stories. Military tensions between Tehran and the West rose to new heights on Monday. The United States and Iran have not let up in lobbying verbal volley at one another. Of course, U.S. President Donald Trump did his part to ramp up the rhetoric. He told reporters at the White House that Washington was ready for the absolute worst from Iran. He called Tehran the #1 state of terror in the world. The American president says is finding it difficult to negotiate with Iran because of its actions and lack of respect. Hours before Trump's comment, Iran's Ministry of Intelligence had announced it has captured 17 American spies and that it has sentenced some of them to death. Iran claims the spies had been captured during the past year and had been collecting information from sensitive sites like military and nuclear facilities for the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. Both Trump and U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo rejected the Iranian claims. The latest verbal sparring between the U.S. and Iran comes as Tehran has become increasingly aggressive in the Strait of Hormuz, a key shipping lane that passes by Iranian territorial waters. The Trump administration says it will expand and speed up deportations of migrants who enter the United States illegally. It said it will strip away court oversights to enabling officials to remove people in days rather than months or years. The rule will apply expedited removal to the majority of those who enter the United States illegally unless they can prove they have been living in the country for at least 2 years. Legal experts say it was a dramatic expansion of a program already used along the U.S.-Mexican border, the courthouse review by an immigration judge, usually without access to an attorney. Both are available in regular proceedings. The Nonpartisan Migration Policy Institute says nearly 300,000 of the approximately 11 million illegal immigrants could be quickly deported under the new rule. The next leader of the British people has been elected, and Boris Johnson is expected to ascend to the leadership of Britain's governing Conservative Party and as Prime Minister. Johnson and his rival, Foreign Secretary Jeremy Hunt, have spent the past month crisscrossing the country seeking to win over the 160,000 Conservative Party members who will choose Britain's new leader. Voting closed on Monday afternoon. Johnson will formally take over as Prime Minister on Wednesday afternoon, succeeding Theresa May, who stepped down as a result of her inability to get her Brexit deal ratified by Parliament. Johnson is a former London mayor who resigned as foreign minister a year ago over May's Brexit plans. He's seen as a clear favourite to replace May, and several polls put him in a wide lead at around 70%. South Korean defense officials said warplanes have fired hundreds of warning shots at a Russian military aircraft that entered the country's airspace on Tuesday. But Russia has denied violating any airspace and accused South Korean pilots of being reckless. An official at the South Korean Ministry of National Defense said it was the first time a Russian military aircraft had violated South Korean airspace. The incident, which also involved China and Japan, could complicate relations and raise tension in a region that has for years been overshadowed by hostility between the United States and North Korea.
Still ahead, sport. Nigeria Table Tennis Federation President Ishaku Tikan elected into the board of the Commonwealth Table Tennis Federation. Please stay with us.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to sport. President of the Nigeria Table Tennis Federation, Ishaku Tikan, has been elected into the board of the Commonwealth Table Tennis Federation at the CTTF Annual General Meeting in Cuttack, India. India's Vivek Kohli defeated former chairman Alan Ransom from England to emerge as the new helmsman last weekend. The loss ended Ransom's 26-year reign as chairman. Meanwhile, Nigeria players failed to make it beyond the round of 16 in the men and women's singles events of the 21st Commonwealth Table Tennis Championships. Host India dominated all the 7 events on Sunday. Ajoke Ojomu and Nimota Aregbeshala were both eliminated in the round of 16. FIFA has placed a live ban on former General Secretary of the Botswana Football Association for taking bribes in relation to match fixing. FIFA said judges from its independent ethics body found Motkesi Ungotelme guilty of having accepted bribes in relation to the manipulation of international matches. The allegations against him stem from an extensive investigation into various attempts to manipulate international matches for betting purposes by Wilson Raj Peruma, a known match fixer. Peruma was arrested and jailed in Finland in 2011 for fixing top-tier football games there. He later collaborated with match-fixing investigators. In addition to a lifetime ban, FIFA fined Code Semet $51,000. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.